Adler from FM 1021 here with author, actor, director. The man has done everything. Rex Sikes, author of this book right here, Life on Your Terms, which I tell you what, Rex, you gave this book to me months ago in the summer, and we're talking about it now because it took me that long to get through it. And it's not your typical book. It's not even your typical self-help book, but damn, is it a good book right now in November 2020, and I'm going to be specific about that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I wrote the book for difficult times that people experience throughout all of their life. And of course, little did we know that we'd be in a difficult time worldwide. Yeah. And so the book is, I think, absolutely vital and absolutely relevant to what's going on right now, especially in terms of helping people get through these difficult times, alone or with others.
You have a lot more unique experience than most of your self-help writing authors, to me, that I've come across. A lot of authors are simply in the medical profession, and psychologists, sociologists sometimes. You have a wealth of history, and I want you to kind of explain just even 5 or 6 of the jobs that you have done full time.
Wow. Well, I've always, first and foremost, done 2 things. One is do what I do now, which is help other people transform their lives. From a child, early on, I wanted to be a mystic or a priest or somebody that had some kind of connection with something bigger than themselves. And the other thing was to be an entertainer and an actor. So most of what I've done is either helped people through the book, training, live seminars and events, or online speaking, and also through entertaining, acting, directing, producing, doing a mind reading show, doing keynote addresses, and things like that. I have worked as a hypnotist. I did work as a therapist, my own, in Los Angeles. I don't do one-on-one therapy. I do coaching, and I teach people how to improve their lives, but I don't work as a therapist anymore. I'm a master hypnotist, a master hypnotherapist, and my background is in communication and psychology and anthropology, and so it's. But my degree is in communication. But my interest has always been in how do you be your personal best, and it started with me as a mystic and as an actor. How do you get to be your best, and how do you live life successfully, and not let the day-to-day things get you down, and especially when they're great hardship.
And again, I read books, I think, maybe a little differently than some people. With this book, I couldn't read, and I texted you a couple of times. I said I had to go back, and it's riddled with highlights. I put bookmarks in this thing, but there's a couple of things that jump out right away, and they're short. They're not long, and they're not. What I like about this is it's not vague and general. A lot of things just say, listen, you have to. It's horrible speeches that you would get from like a high school coach in the 1980s or 70s. You're like, you just got to be tough, and kind of, no offense, not Vince, like Vince Lombardi's stolen things that aren't quite interpreted right. And these ones are much more direct and specific. And one of them just says, you must do something. And those 4 words I love, because that's where all of this starts. If you are, and I think we can take a dozen different situations where people are either out of work, struggling with work and money, struggling with what they're going to do next, and you got to do something. What you just rattled off, what you've done in the past, is you always waking up essentially saying, I got to do something today. There's no day, and it's not necessarily taking a day off, I don't think, unless I'm not speaking for you, but you just have to move forward and do something and try it.
Well, absolutely. The premise of the book essentially is this: you can do anything that you put your mind to, commit to, and persist through whatever challenge or obstacle or difficulty might come your way. If you want it badly enough and you think right, you will make it happen. The problem with most people is they let the circumstances of the day or the circumstances of the week or the circumstances of the month, the events in their life or the people in their life who are Debbie and Donnie Downer kind of thing, pull them down and live in a less than glorious way. When if you take charge of your mindset, if you do something, if you take charge of your mindset and you begin to think positively, optimistically, and powerfully, then you can do anything. And that do something, I'm fond of the saying, and I don't think I originated it, but I use it all the time, is that enough baby steps in the right direction can take you to the peak of Mount Everest. So it's doing something correctly, consistently, repeatedly for long enough for it to become a habit. And when it becomes a habit, just like any habit that we have, it becomes automatic and reliable, and we don't have to think about doing it. So when you and I first learned to ride a bike or drive a car or even walk or feed ourselves, that took enormous amounts of energy and attention and focus, and we made mistakes and we made feedback, and we talked ourselves through it and we walked ourselves through it. And we finally got to the point where we got in the car one day, drove off, turned on the radio, listened to tunes, talked to a friend in the back, thought about other things. I went, holy cow, how did I get down this road? But we did it unconsciously. We did it through habit. And
the other part of this, which I do enjoy, and I think if we would have been talking about this a year ago, it would be talked about different, and that is give yourself enough time, which personally, and this, as I went through this, for years, all of my bad habits, and I know them, I could write them down. I'm nothing if not self-aware of the problems that I have in my life. But historically, I'd always say, well, I have work and I got a family and I've got a house to take care of, and I'm commuting from Bayview to Menominee Falls every day. My God, that's 50 miles total. I didn't have enough time, and I could justify that. I could say, well, it's gonna take a long time because I got too much stuff in the way. And now, with a lot of us in the situation we are, working from home, working maybe less than you were before, or having so much time, now it's just a matter of organizing that time. And again, going back to, you must do something, and you can finish it off with that time. You can almost combine those two things that we just talked about into one sentence, which that's, whatever it is you've been doing over, let's say, last 10 months. I mean, I took up yoga to try to relax because I'm in my house and it's very frustrating. So you deal with something. So I just think a year ago, we would have been talking about this book, and you said, give yourself enough time. You're like, well, where the hell am I going to get time from? Time just doesn't. It's not like money. I either have too much of it or not enough of it. We all have the same amount of time, but now you go, ooh. It's like any friend you've ever had that had sabbatical, where I'm always, that's mythical to me, where I'm like, somebody had 3 months off of their job on sabbatical. I go, my God, that would be amazing. And then you, just like money, you think of like time, you go, what would I do with 3 months off? And now you go, Jesus, you're like, shit, I have 3 months. I have time.
I appreciate you saying that. It's you do something and give yourself enough time, but what you just said is really important, because I like 2020. Everybody else goes 2020, it's an aberration in all the centuries. I like what's going on. I don't like people dying. I don't like people sick. I don't like chaos and confusion and division and hatred and all that stuff. But what we have right now is like the opportunity. I don't know whether we'll actually experience it, but we have the opportunity for a great awakening. And that awakening is social, it's psychological, it's emotional, it's personal, it's all those things. And one of the things about our lives that's revolutionary, you and I are meeting through Zoom. The last time I saw you, we sat and had coffee.
Yeah.
But we didn't have masks because it was, in the early stages of this. But I now watch like late night talk shows, which I never watched before, because when they interview Matthew McConaughey or some famous star, I get to see, like I do right now, the background that you're in.
Your house.
I get to see something I never saw before. I get a more intimate look at the person who they're just talking with. So there's going to be great innovation that comes out of this. We're going to be doing things in so many different ways because we have to confront doing things in different ways. And out of adversity comes opportunity and innovation if you think right. The issue with, for example, the news is they have a ticker tape death toll count, which is depressing. They have the normal news, which is depressing enough. But if you fill your mind with stuff constantly about how bad things are, you tend to feel bad. If you fill yourself with good things, like how
Yeah.
much you appreciate your children, your spouse, or your significant other, or your life partner, how much you enjoy your life, or your surroundings, or your pets, or your kids, how much you enjoy your job, or what you're grateful for, that attitudinal change. And by the way, attitude is the number one predictor for success in any endeavor, but especially in physical healing, especially in physical healing and emotional healing.
Yes, in Life on Your Terms, in this book, there is a lot of mentions of not only friends of yours, but also people you've come across that have, because we're talking disabilities as in unable to walk, that suddenly someone could walk again. That story to me was fascinating in the book. And again, you said that it's attitude. It is, and because, without giving too much away, I want to make sure people read the book, because this person was an athlete. I'll leave it at that. A very, very, very good athlete. He early on had that attitude, which I think when the rehabilitation came, he's like, it's like the riding the bike thing. You've done it before. You can do it again. And even if you take a year off riding the bike, it's going to be you're going to be weird around corners, and the first car that comes by, you're going to be a little nervous, but you still know how to ride that bike. And, rehabilitation is the same thing. It's training. That's all it is.
It truly is. And I don't mind saying who that is. That's Jamie Nieto. He's an Olympic champion, two-time Olympic contender, 2012 and 2006, or 2008 and 2016, who accidentally was paralyzed. But I met Jamie as an actor, writer. He was on my show, Rex Sikes Movie Beat. We were talking about his career as an actor, and then we met in Los Angeles. I took him to some friends. He got a part in a TV show through a producer friend of mine. We've been good friends, and he was paralyzed in an accident. But it's his mindset and his attitude. And here's the thing, Muhammad Ali used to say, "I hate to train, but I know that if I don't train, I'll never be the world's best boxer. So I have to sacrifice now for that large purpose, that big why that I have, the thing that motivates me and that I want most in the world. So I go out and I run behind cars when it's cold and it's wet, and I hate every minute of it." Which is an important point, and that is, people say, "Well, I don't feel like it," or "I'm not motivated," or "I can't do that," or whatever. The point is you don't have to rely on your feelings. In fact, sometimes your feelings lie to you if they're not positive and productive. They're the ones that you put something off until tomorrow. You can't put yourself up. Jamie didn't put anything off until tomorrow, and Muhammad Ali doesn't. An Olympic athlete can't sacrifice knowing what's right to do and sacrifice not doing it and still be a champion. They work a little bit or a lot of it every day toward the goal that they want to accomplish. And you and I can do the same thing. And again, enough baby steps in the right direction will take us up to Mount Everest. You may not want to be an Olympic champion. You don't want to have that kind of lifestyle. But if you add in little things that are fun and enjoyable, and you give yourself enough time to accomplish them, and you do that consistently, you will succeed in ways that you couldn't even begin to imagine. Jamie is walking because Jamie has the attitude of, "I will do this." And by the way, he is married to an Olympic champion. They just celebrated the birth of a young boy. Nice. And he's on a TV show right now on the Bounce Network, and he writes and he acts. The man is an awesome thing, and I'm happy to tell his story and share his story. He sent me a picture of him holding my book, and is a big advocate of me, and as I am of him. And he's one of a number of examples from the book.
The other big part of this book, and you kind of mentioned it in talking about that, is the negative affirmations part, which right now in 2020 is what you just talked about. If you watch the news, if you watch social media, and I never like when people blame technology, which is way too broad, or even social media, which is still too broad, on bad things, because it's people responsible for that. It's no different from, as a child of the 80s, everybody blamed video games and music for doing horrible things. You're like, no, those are people behind that.
And before that, it was playing cards and dancing.
Correct. Or Elvis. Yeah. So the negative affirmations now in 2020 more than ever, because you are living so much more through Zoom and through social media, is something that I love how the book tackles it. And it's interesting. There's another, and you mentioned it, but another book I've been cross-referencing is Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, the PMA, positive mental attitude, which in the 80s there's a punk band named Bad Brains, and there's a song called PMA, and it's, you look at these guys and they go, they were into Napoleon Hill, they were really into Napoleon Hill, and used it in, you look at them, you're like, they don't seem like self-help guys, but they definitely were, and it's one of my favorite songs. So when you talk about negative affirmations, it's one of the biggest things for people to get over, because as much as you want to, let's say, run behind a car to train like Muhammad Ali, at the end of the day, if you go online and you see somebody that's faster or bigger than you going, I'll never get there. God, I mean, it didn't wipe away what you did, because you did make a move. You did something to better your life. You really have to, as much as you can, get rid of negative affirmations, which there are great examples in this book of how to do that. And I think that's one of the biggest things in not only getting started, but continuing. The negative affirmations are always people throwing broken glass and bricks in front of you. You know, it's just, it's always going to be there, no matter what your job is or what you do.
Oh, absolutely. Here's the thing. You're always affirming something. You're either affirming expansion and increase and good things and positive things, or you're affirming decrease and lack and poverty or bad things or negativity. You can only do one or the other, and you can't do both at the same time. No. You can't hold two competing thoughts in your mind at the same time. So you're going to do one or the other. And so people either say, I can't do that, I won't do that, I'm not good enough, nothing ever works out for me. Those are all affirmations. They're just less than glorious. They're just negative. They're not life affirming. They're not helping you get what you want. They're helping you to stay stuck and stay down and feel bad. And when you feel bad, you don't feel like acting and behaving, and so you don't do the things that are right. And if you feel fearful and worried and desperate or frustrated, you're not making the best decisions ever. So, you know, what you want to do is affirm. Now, there's a man called Fernando Flores who said, he's not a native English speaker, but said there's 4 things you can do in the English language. You can make a request, you can make a promise, you can make an assertion, and you make a declaration. I won't go into all 4, I'll only go into the last 2. An assertion is, I'm a man or a male, or I'm 5'10", or I have a hand. I'm asserting these things. So, or you and I are on Zoom. You know, we're asserting. Yeah. Now, a declaration, or how we like to point it out, is a judge or a jury can make a declaration. You have to have an authority. You have to be the authority to make a declaration. So a judge can declare you not guilty or guilty, or a jury can declare you guilty or not guilty, but you can't. The defendant can't go, I am. They can say I'm not guilty, but they can't. They don't declare it. So what you want to do is be careful of what you're declaring as if you're an authority. If you say, I tried everything, that's a declaration and an assertion, which is in fact false, because you can't have tried everything.
Everything, yeah.
Just can't. I tried it and it didn't work. And I say BS to that. You tried something, but you didn't try long enough or often enough or enough things in order to know how to make it work. I teach people to juggle in all of my workshops. I probably mentioned it in the book. And one of the reasons why I did that is because juggling, you drop balls. To learn to juggle, you're going to drop balls. If you were juggling China plates, you'd breaking China plates. So fortunately, people use rubber balls or bean bags or something.
Yeah.
You're always going to drop them. The only way you get to be a good juggler, and by the way, you can read every book on juggling in the world and watch every video and every movie, and you'll never juggle until you pick up some balls and start juggling. And when you do, you'll drop balls. And when you drop balls, you just have to keep going until you drop them less and less, and you keep the balls up more and more. And then pretty soon you're sitting on a chair, one leg balanced on a tightrope, eating a sandwich while juggling chainsaws, because you learned how to juggle. And the more you do, the more you become capable of doing. But guess what? A master juggler still will drop balls. So if you say, I've tried everything, or I've done that and it doesn't work, that's a less than glorious negative assertion or affirmation or declaration that is not serving you. The key is to go, I wonder how I can make it work, or I wonder what I can do, or how can I do this in a way that fulfills me and makes me feel good. But since you can only do one of 2 things at one time, if you want to feel better and be more successful, you need to stay in a positive frame of mind, an optimistic frame of mind, a mind of gratitude, and assert. Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are correct. And that's absolutely true. But he said something else that I really like, and I'm going to shut up and let you talk. And that was, he said, I never let what I can't do prevent me from doing what I want to do. And I love that.
That's,
why? And what stops most people is a thought. They go, I could never do that.
Yep.
I never do. And we talked about Elvis Presley in the book. I mentioned, if I dressed you up in your sequined white jumpsuit, you might be real uncomfortable at first. You go, this isn't me. I could never do this. That's not me. But if you wore it long enough,
you own it. You wear it.
You own it.
It's yours. It's second.
And there are people out there who peacock. I see them all the time. They've got the boa feathers and the wide brim hats and this, that, and the other thing. And I go, I could never do that. But if you put that on and wear it, you own it.
That's what you're talking. You're talking about the negative parts in chapter 25, how you really make changes, no BS. But I did want to point out there's 2 pages that happen to face each other that in this book, Life on Your Terms, Rex Sikes talking to us right now. It's page 94 and 95. They happen to be facing each other, and they're not, the 2 things aren't necessarily connected, but it's the one thing I like. We're going back to time, where we're all given the same 24 hours, no matter our age, income, etc. But on page 94, it says, the rule is, within 48 hours of being exposed to new learning material, you must begin to take action steps. Now, this, it's more of, it's not a law, but it's a good habit and behavior to get into, especially when you are confined to your apartment or house, and you look around at something, you go, putting up a shelf. You're like, you bought a shelf, whether you went to the store and get it or have it delivered, you got a shelf and it's in a box, and you have to screw that thing up on the wall. Don't let it sit around. And I'm saying this because I did it yesterday. I bought a shelf in August, and it's November now, and I finally put it up. But again, I like the 48 hours, but the other part, and this is how, to me, everything, this is 2020, whether you like it or not. The quote that you have in here from John Kabat-Zinn, you cannot stop the waves, but you can learn to surf.
Yeah.
There are more people right now that are trying to stop waves. And I mean political ones, medical ones, emotional ones. And whether they want to acknowledge it or not, it doesn't work. You have to learn to surf. You have to go along with the medical changes, the political changes, the societal changes, the occupational changes. To me, and it's certainly, this doesn't incorporate the entire book, but it's just one part that I kept on reading, and I looked at it, but I could almost memorize it, that I enjoy, because if 2020 is anything, it's surfing,
No, that is beautifully put, and using the quote to back it up is wonderful, but your insight and your thinking on that is absolutely right on, spot on, and I think other people would truly benefit to adapt your attitude and the way you think about it. A couple of things just to go into. One is, the goal is to become your own best friend. Your brain is a servant, as you learn in the book, and it can only do what it's taught to do, and what it's been taught to do, you may want to do differently once you're older.
Yeah.
We've learned to do things by habit through conditioning, and a lot of it's negative and it's co-opted. It wasn't originally ours. The beliefs that we have about family, friends, money, the world in general, whether it's a good place or a bad place, whether things work out or don't work out, whether it's love or money comes to you easily or not, are all things that we were conditioned to accept or believe through caregivers and media and authority figures and peers as we grew. And now we get the opportunity to look at them consciously and decide, do we want to keep that or do we want to live differently? And that's a huge piece of awareness and a key to making change. And that is, does this serve me or does it not?
Yeah.
Your brain only serves you. Your brain only does what it knows to do. It doesn't do anything that it doesn't know to do. It doesn't go out of its way. But what you want to do is, it's like a horse. You train a horse and the horse will serve you, but you still have to control it. You still have to steer it. You still have to say, I'm going to go over there, and then aim the horse in that direction, and it will take you there. And that's what the brain will do if you train your brain well. And the 48-hour rule is about motivation and about self-respect. If you make a promise to yourself, but you continually break it, if you go, I'm going to do this today, and you don't do it, I'm going to clean the garage, and you don't do it, I'm gonna read this book this week, and you don't do it. What you're teaching yourself and affirming and validating over and over again is, I don't keep my word. I don't keep my promise. I don't do what I say. So what kind of relationship is that? You wouldn't want to hang out with that person.
Exactly. And that's, turning yourself.
I'll meet you for coffee next Monday at 10 and then don't show up.
Don't show up. Yeah. If you don't want to hang out with yourself, no one's going to hang out with you. But you can change. You can't change other people, but you sure as hell can change yourself.
So the 48-hour or the 24-hour rule is to get you to act on your word in positive and beneficial ways, so that you take that next step, which we were talked about from the very beginning about doing something. You take that next step and then you do it. And if you do it, like you say, I'm going to clean the garage. Don't ever say, I'm going to clean all of the garage today.
Yeah.
Chunk it down to, I'll clean a portion of the garage, and then clean that portion within 24 or 48 hours. You feel good. And when you feel good, you feel motivated, you feel productive, you feel upbeat, you're vibing high, you're more apt to clean the rest of the garage bit by bit by bit by bit than if you say, I'm going to clean all of the garage. You get into it and go, oh, screw this. This is the way. Or if you don't do it. Yeah. And Napoleon Hill said, money loves speed, which means when you, and this is not investment advice, but when you get accurate information and you vetted it and you know that you have to make a decision, then make the decision quickly and be slow to change the decision. As opposed to what successful people do is they research everything, they make a decision fast, they don't wait months and weeks and years to make their decision, they make it fast, and then they're very slow to change it. Whereas people who are unsuccessful are really slow to make the decision, and then they change them all the time.
They go back, it's backpedaling, which between the stories, the quotes, the actual execution of life events, life on your terms, create the life you want with Rex Sikes. I've enjoyed this. I have, as I told you I was going to do, destroyed this book. Thank you for this. There are dog-eared pages, there are highlights, there are questions I wrote in there.
Well, you read the book the way you should read the book. I mean, I wrote the book to be my voice talking to you, like whispering in your ear. It's a book you could read, maybe not in one sitting, but you could read it like a book, but that's not as beneficial as what you did. And so I actually do use some devices in the book to get you to stop and to think about it, or to go back and to read it, to go, is that what he meant? To think about it. Because the more you entertain it in your mind, the more you re-expose yourself to the concepts and the principles, and then engage in the practices, the more successful you become. And I try and do it in a fun and easy way. When COVID hit, by the way, the very day that they said we're going into lockdown, I gave away a program of mine called How to Change Your Thoughts and Transform Your Life. Because I went, you know what? People are going to be locked down. They got plenty of time to do something to transform their life. So I put it out there on the internet and said, anybody who wants this could have it for like 5 or 6 months. I kept this as a free program for people, going, now is the time where you have time.
Yes.
Read the book. You got time to do the program. You got time to learn how to transform your life, so that when we do emerge in whatever world or whatever way, you're prepared. You have to, one of my favorite quotes is, if you want to enjoy enduring success, you must travel a little bit in advance of the world. You have to be prepared. The motto, be prepared. Don't go to camping without your matches and your flashlight and your sleeping bag. Prepare.
Where can people find this book?
They can get the book on Amazon.com, both Kindle or paperback. I love paperback because I like to highlight and write, do the notes, and be able to do that. And I like to smell a book and things like that. So they get that book that you're holding at Amazon. They can also go to my website. I'll give you the website URL. It's changing. It's going to be my name. I'm reassigning my name from a movie website to my Idea Seminars website. But I'm going to give you the meanwhile. It'll be good forever. My company name is Idea Seminars, IDEA Seminars, and they can search me that way, or they can search by my name, and it's NLPonline.com. NLP, like Now Let's Party, online.com. So you can remember it. The book is there. I've got other great things, programs. I've got the Attitude Activator, which is a really powerful audio program that have been changing lives of people all around the world. Maybe the last audio program you ever need. But Life on Your Terms I am very proud of this book. I'm proud of all the people who are sending me photos of it. I'm proud of the people who, when you get it, please leave a review at Amazon. That always helps other people decide to buy the book, you know, when they look at it. So I'm really happy, and I'm so happy you read it and studied it the way you did.
It's time well spent writing it. It's as far as doing something, probably the best thing you could be doing. Taking your own advice.
No, I agree with you. I've got a couple more books coming out sometime soon, and one of them also addresses COVID in a different way. But it's powerful, it's practical, it's fun, it's easy. When you said, you know, you made a study of it, it wasn't a difficult book to get through, was it?
No, not at all. But it caused me to look at other books. As I picked up Napoleon Hill again for the first time in a couple of years, and I know you have Napoleon Hill, I believe, great granddaughter of Napoleon Hill, endorsing the book, which I love on here, because to me that was like a lot of the. It was almost an updated version of Think and Grow Rich, and a much more personal one.
And the head of the Napoleon Hill Foundation, Don Green, loved the book. He gave me a review on Amazon, and we talk all the time. And he's been sending me signed copies of Napoleon Hill books and everything.
Oh wow!
I really appreciate you know, because of you know, kindred spirits and kindred minds. I started reading Napoleon Hill when I was 11, and
oh my God, I didn't get into it until I think it was in my 20s or 30s. So you were.
I didn't apply it much until I was older, but I read it. I mean, I didn't know kind of how to apply it and things. But
no, as somebody who's read both, I just think it's a great accompanying piece to it. Life on Your Terms. It's so well done, Rex. I'm so glad we could finally talk about this.
I'm so happy that we could. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate your enthusiasm for the book and for the ability of people to change and to make it available right now during this crucial time, critical time where people are having a lot of difficulty, because it really can help them get through it. And not only this, but any challenge in their life and any problem.
And you know, I'll say it. It would make a great gift. It would make it like that's the other part of this season. It's a great gift for people.
Oh, that's
you might not be seeing during the holidays. So get them a copy of Life on Your Terms. Rex, thank you so much for the time, man. I appreciate it.
John, it's been a pleasure. Much love, peace, blessings. Stay happy, stay healthy, and celebrate everything. Fill your life as you do with gratitude. And when you consider everything a blessing, everything becomes a blessing. You rock, man. I love you.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much for the time. This was awesome.